States Marshal Terrence McTeague, and all of you are under arrest.
You ain't taking us in alive, Marshal.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2022 Western A Tale of Two Guns, a film that is written and directed by Justin Lee, and it stars Tom Berenger, Casper Van Dien, Ed Maroney, Judd Nelson, and we also have appearances here by Jeff Fahey and Danny Trejo. Now, the film essentially focuses initially on a gunfight. Tom Berenger plays Marshal McTeague, and he faces down with his deputy some outlaws, some cowboys. And in that gang is Casper Van Dien's character, Abel Cruz. After the shootout, the only one essentially left standing is the Casper Van Dien character, who heads off cross-country to try and escape, to start a new life. But Tom Berenger's character, Marshal McTeague, who is injured in the shootout, still wants to pursue him, so brings on board Ed Maroney's character, deputizes him, and gives him the task of tracking down the Casper Van Dien character and bringing him to justice. Right. What are my thoughts on A Tale of Two Guns? I like westerns. I've said this before a few times when I've reviewed a western film, and I've watched quite a few and reviewed quite a few what you would describe as low budget westerns over these last few months, and a decent amount of them I've actually quite enjoyed. Some of them are of TV movie quality, and some of them a little bit better than that. But it seems like certainly, well, to me anyway, there seems to be a little bit of a Western revival, certainly in regards to the video on demand and streaming services, in regards to Westerns anyway. And this one is actually a fairly decent and watchable Western, very much like the others. There's nothing outstanding about it. There's nothing gritty and, that really grabs you about this film. But if you're a fan of a Western, this will certainly pass a good hour and a half. It's not a bad one at all. And it's got a very simple story as well. And I think in movies, regardless of whether they're Western, sci-fi, horror, action, generally speaking, they work better with a simple story. And this one is quite simple. As I said at the beginning, there's a shootout. The Tom Berenger character is injured. He can't pursue the Casper Van Dien character, so he deputizes somebody else to go and do it for him, who's got a reputation of his own. Now, along the way, there is a couple of things in this film that feel like they've been thrown in there just for filler almost. A couple of lackluster gunfights. For example, the Casper Van Dien character who's trying to get away and start out a new life and get rid of his past is faced down by some guy who's not a bounty hunter but recognizes who he is. And you get a bit of a lackluster face-off, if you like. He also runs into a Red Indian sort of thing. The usual, but again, we're hearing throughout this film, because the area he's going in is kind of notorious for Indians, killing and scalping and doing all this kind of stuff. So there's not many people settle there, but he wants to buy a ranch out there and start his own ranch life. But it is quite dangerous. But a hint that you get of any danger is one Indian facing off with the Casper Van Dien character, when he's pretty poor and pretty lackluster again. And that for me was, for the most part, the biggest disappointment here. Much of the gunfights, again, I'm going to say it again, are fairly lackluster. The shootout at the beginning's half decent, and there's a shootout at the end of the film that's half decent, but everything kind of in between kind of fails to deliver, which is a bit of a shame. And also as well, what the film is trying to do, and the hints in the title, A Tale of Two Guns. So you've got the deputy, the marshal, chasing down the Casper Van Dien character, who's a bandit on the run. But it's not as simple as that, because, as I've said, the Casper Van Dien character is trying to start a new life for himself, move away from his past and all this kind of stuff. And they kind of have this confrontation at the end that the outcome's fairly predictable, if I'm honest, but they're trying to set up like this, you know, oh, there's these two guys, both on different sides of the law, but they're not all that different when you actually weigh everything up, and it's trying to present that to you as an audience member. But while you do get that message quite clearly with the film, the film does a fairly poor job of fleshing out the characters. So you don't really know who this Casper Van Dien character is. At the beginning, you know he's in a gang and he's an outlaw. And at the end, you know he's trying to put his past behind him and start a new life as a rancher. But that's all you really know about him. You don't know what kind of past he's had. You know, how bad was he? Did he kill indiscriminately? Is he a man of honor? Blah, blah, blah. And you never really get that his character fleshed out enough for you to really make any kind of judgment on him, whether he is really not redeemable or what. And it's the same with the guy that's chasing him, the Ed Maroney character, this marshal that's chasing him, this deputy marshal. We don't know an awful lot enough about him other than he is a man of principle and a man of honour, and he respects justice and all that kind of stuff. But the film tries and fails to some degree to present the grey area. I like films that do that, you know, because films are always black and white. I do like it when films play around in the grey area. And this one does try and play around in the grey area, but it's not necessarily hugely successful at it. But this isn't a bad Western. If you're a fan of Westerns, there's some stuff here to enjoy. You've got some good performances by veterans. Tom Berenger, I'm a big fan of. He's not in it enough for me. I thought he was going to be in the whole film when I started watching it, and he's not. Casper Van Dien is Casper Van Dien. You know, you either like him or you don't, but you kind of know what you're getting with Casper Van Dien. Judd Nelson is fairly unrecognisable in the film, and the Jeff Fahey and the Danny Trejo cameos is the best way I can put it. Often really nothing to the film. They're in it for about 5 minutes, but it's a well performed film by industry veterans, and it's certainly not a bad Western. It's just nothing special or outstanding. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. Straight down the middle. It's not terrible, but it's not great at the same time. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.